Marshmallow Fanboy back with another review, this time of the Captain America Brave New World wave. Now, this one took me a little bit of time to collect because at first I balked at the $40 per figure price tag and thought, I'll wait for prices to drop, and prices did drop. So I give you Red Hulk, which I got for $30, I think, at a GameStop. He's got a little bit of a busted lid. Happened when they opened him at GameStop. They razor the boxes open, and of course everything inside a game box isn't a manufacturer's box. It's somebody took figures out and then put them in another box with a bunch of other stuff. So they're just indiscriminately sort of cutting and slice that right open. But that is Red Hulk. The other two I got from, I think, Target. I think it was one of those buy a certain amount and get a certain amount off. I think each of them were about $20 each, which was right up my alley. I know there's a costume change in Brave New World. I think there's a mostly white uniform, and I'm not sure if he ends the movie looking like this or begins the movie looking like this, but it is one of the two uniforms from Brave New World. I'm just not positive which one it is, but it is really cool. I do really like that this time they're not making you build a figure the wings or anything on either him or Falcon. I like that they're giving you the wings up front this time. And now we have the debut of Falcon, the new Falcon, which is a really cool kind of updated gear. It looks like Vulture a little bit, except no, I mean the color scheme is about the same. I'm not sure why the green and brown. It could have been. I guess the green and brown is because he's he's still either in the military or was in the military. I'm not really clear on what the current status of his enlistment is. I know that Captain America isn't military and he doesn't work with the military, but I think at the beginning of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think this character does work with the military. Maybe still does. I'm not absolutely sure. Oh, it says former lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force. So used to be. That should have been a lot shorter. That was you learn something new every day. So those are the three characters that they came out with figures for. It is a smaller wave because all of the figures are larger. All the figures have more bells and whistles. It's a good decision just to focus on these three and not everybody else. But I was expecting them to do a follow-up wave that maybe gave us Leader and some characters like that, but we didn't get it. Also, I can't remember. Ezekiel? Not Ezekiel. That's Samuel Jackson's character in Pulp Fiction. Elijah? Something like that. I can't remember. The guy who was the first Captain America. And they didn't super make, it clear who that guy was or who that guy was to Sam. So people who hadn't seen the Disney Plus series were probably like, who's that guy? Is that his uncle or something? And no. But also the movie was missing that guy's grandson, who is the new Avengers Patriot. And it would have been cool to have a Patriot cameo. We got nothing like that, which is fine. But it would have been really cool. So those are the three figures in the package. But let's see what happens. Or I should say, let's see how we feel about them when we bust them out and take a look at them outside of their packages. Okay, now that they're out of the package, let's take a closer look at Cap, Red Hulk, and Falcon. Even though I don't think he was ever referred to as Red Hulk. I think he was just referred to as a Hulk. or as one reporter said, I didn't know they came in red, but he was never sort of addressed as Hulk or Red Hulk. That's just what they're calling him. After all, with Scarlet Witch, they didn't refer to her as Scarlet Witch for the first, 5 or 6 years worth of movies. And yet when the figure came out, it was referred to as Scarlet Witch. I'm pretty sure I'm dead on. I wish I had researched that before I said that. But if it's not true, that's fine. I'm just spitballing here. I believe that some of the names for characters, I think the first Rocket Raccoon we got was called Rocket Raccoon, even though he's never called Rocket Raccoon in the movies. He's just called Rocket, even though some people correctly say he's a raccoon. Anywho, that's neither here nor there. I'm just gonna push on. So, Red Hulk is, I'm not gonna go over the articulation or anything, but I am going to go over some of the things that I like. It's a fairly standard kind of Hulk figure, so you're not getting a sort of an A+ on having a figure that's much different than any other existing figure, and the face sculpt doesn't really look like Harrison Ford either, which is kind of disappointing. And I get that I've got the Red Rage one on right now. Let me adjust the camera a little bit. But even the normal looking head doesn't really look a whole lot like Harrison Ford does. And in the movie, it does look fairly similar to him. Maybe I'm mistaken and that sculpt is just really, really good. But I don't think so. Looks more sort of like, looks a little like Arnold Schwarzenegger, doesn't it? It has a little bit of, I guess that could be my imagination. I thought it had a little bit of gray in the hair, like it was a little bit of detail. It's just the way the light is playing on that. I have a blue light over here, so it makes it kind of look like they're gray bits in the hair. Also, he has 2 fists and 2 grasping hands. So I replaced one of the fists with I replaced one of the grasping hands with a fist, and I left the Furious Hulk head on. See, this figure is also 9 inches tall. It's a 9-inch figure, which is about, if you say a 6-inch figure is equal to a 6-foot person, then 9 inches is, I get it, 112 is 6 times 12, which is 72 inches, which is 6 feet, but it still works either way. So, and 9 inches is probably 9 feet tall. It's a really, really big, solid chunk of plastic, and at 9 inches tall, it's practically a Build-A-Figure. It's the price point isn't ridiculous. It's not a, $40 isn't ridiculous. It just was more than I was willing to pay for it, but I'm not unhappy with it. It's just, it's Hulk painted red with a different head, and I don't think, for purposes of the movie, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it was good to get him into the line. It was good to have him, and if for any other reason, it would have been way weirder if he had never gotten a figure, considering he's in this movie. So let's do Falcon next, but first let's go over Falcon's accessories. Both he and Captain America come with 2 different backpacks. One backpack for when the wings aren't deployed. The wings sort of plug into these posts in the back. This one doesn't have it because he's wearing the one that does. But it has little openings on the side. So they have this so that this is flush with the back. And I'll show you that in a minute. He came with this on. It completely covers his face. I would have liked one that completely covered his face, yes. But also just a regular portrait like Sam has, so that they could be standing together in a field talking, and neither one of them have their helmets on or anything, or they could be flying through the sky, both of them with their cool helmet on. And of course, two different hands, a set of grasping hands and a set of fists for punching. He comes with a version of Red Wing. I don't know if he calls his Red Wing or that's just Cap's. One is called Red Wing, but of course it has the traditional sort of red, which would make me believe this is Red Wing. There isn't anything on the back that suggests that it could kind of plug in. I wish it had some kind of plug in where you could put it on his wrist or somewhere like that. I know the Thor that was the Herald of Galactus had I thought a place to plug in the Mockingbird or the Crow, whatever that the Blackbird was that came with him, so that you could display him with that on. But there's no way to sort of attach this to the backpack or anything else. So the backpack has like a divot down here, but it doesn't hook to anything. Nothing sort of fits in it. I know that when it deploys in the movie, it's very tiny and it comes out and just sort of expands, and there it is. But for figure purposes, it would have been cool if it had plugged in somewhere. Maybe something on the wing, so that when you spread the wing out, maybe it's out just a little bit. Also, both these characters have wings and no flight stand. I know that's not Marvel's sort of not Marvel's bag to give you things like that, but McFarlane gives you an action figure stand and or a flight stand, and the flight stand doubles as sort of a stand, because the base of the flight stand always has a peg that you can plug a foot into. The wings are very different from Cap's wings. Not the articulation. The articulation is the same scheme, and it's amazing. He also has these little handles on the inside where he can kind of hang on to them in flight, or he can sort of hang on to shield himself. But the wings aren't as long as Cap's. Cap's came in sections and his came all together. Let me see if I can measure one side of the wing. It's about 7.5 inches of wing on each side, which makes both of them put together about over a foot long. Yeah, about 15 inches. Holy smokes. The backpack operates by plugging in the wings. This is the same setup for Captain America as it is for Falcon, except Captain America's wings are a little bit longer, but they plug into this section. So what you have is you have two backpacks for Falcon, and one is without the wings deployed, and you can see that this is closed on the side, whereas this is open and has sort of a way for the wings to come out. So you're not putting this one back on, and then there's kind of an obvious gap there. Instead, you put on the other one, and it's flush with the back, and there's no obvious way for the wings to sort of deploy. So it's nice that they give you two backpacks. They do the same thing with Captain America. And the backpack, again, the wings plug in, and then the backpack goes right onto the back. And of course, it has all the amazing articulation. Goes up and down. It bends in 3 sections. I think Cap's wings bend in 4 sections. So that's nice. So there's a lot of dynamic poses you can get into. Just really cool. And of course, it's a little bit different from Cap's wings. The tips are a little more pronounced, like they were with Falcon, because of course this Falcon got the old gear that he was using when he was Cap's sidekick, or I should say Steve Rogers' sidekick. It gets very confusing if I call both of them Cap. So I'm going to call this one Cap and the original one Steve Rogers. So Steve, when Captain America was Steve Rogers' partner, he had these wings. They're really nice. I don't know if this is the first time we're getting Falcon wings. No, no. We got actually we got we got Falcon wings when he was newly transitioned to Captain America. I think it was part of the Disney Plus wave. It was build a figure wings like the Vulture's wings, and I think it was in Cap's colors. So I think maybe we've never gotten a Falcon with wings before. So that's very cool. I don't know if that's true. I think that's true, but I'm not absolutely sure. I would have to check my collection. I would absolutely have that figure in my collection if that figure exists. So I'd have to check. I'm not going to, but because that goes dangerously close to research for me. So let's go over Captain America. First, let's put down like a little kickstand. I had him leaning up against the white background, which I'm using now to help the camera focus a little bit. And it looks like it's kind of washing the characters out against the light. So I might have to go back to sort of extreme sets background for a little bit of depth. So this is the backpack without the wings coming out, just like with Falcons. His red wing has a really good detail, but it also has this sort of divot here that looks like it goes onto something. But I couldn't find something that it went onto. The backpack has a hole and no post, so I'm not sure what this goes onto. I checked the wings just to see if maybe it plugs in. I also checked the backpack because I wanted to see if it goes in, but it has a post in there, or a hole in there, so that you could put the shield in there when it's not deployed. The shield backing, of course, has the standard. You can see there it has the flip, where part of it is the clip, and then you could flip it for the post, and it goes right into the backpack. Either backpack, either the one with the wings deployed or the one with the wings not deployed. So you can display that shield any way you want to. He has the full flight helmet for when he's really going fast. Of course, 2 grasping hands, and he has 2 fists for punching. Because he's Captain America, he's got to punch. He's got to punch things. He doesn't have the handles like Falcon does. He also has 4 sections to his wings. Let me see how much that measures. Almost 9 inches of extra wing. Together, 16 inches of wings. Which, admittedly, is only 1 inch more than Falcon's, which is fine, but it still has a little more articulation, a little more, like I said, it has 4 folds. 1, 2, 3. Well, okay. It has 3 points of articulation, but Falcon's had 2 points of articulation. So he has more articulation than Falcon, but the wings are only just a little bit. But it's sort of appropriate, right? He's Captain America. He should have bigger wings than Falcon. And, Wakanda probably made him, bigger, better wings than he had in the first place. So that is the Captain America Brave New World wave. While I'm not unhappy with any of it, I think they did a tremendous job with the 3 figures. And I'm real happy to have them. Falcon's got to be mostly a new sculpt. Captain America has some reuse probably from maybe a Steve Rogers version of Cap from one of the movies. I think that's where the logo was from originally. There's got to be some new stuff in there too. There's no pin elbows, no pin knees. So it's got to be at least a little bit. And I didn't get the 2-pack that has the regular Sam, the unmasked Sam version. I think, or was that? I can't remember now. It seemed like there was a Captain America 2-pack that had him and Falcon in it. The Steve Rogers version of Cap had Falcon in it, and both of them had regular civilian portraits, and both of them had the masked versions of the head. So I think this is the first unmasked version of the head. And of course, it has the goggles, but that's fine. It's not like, the rest of it is covered. He's not wearing kind of a skull cap or like Cap did or anything. So not a big deal. But hopefully we'll get a little bit more to this collection. I don't know. The movie didn't do very well at all. So I have that awful feeling that we're done with figures from that movie. But it would be nice to have maybe a Harrison Ford figure of him as president. Would be nice to have a leader figure. Would be great to have. Elijah? I can't remember the guy's name who was the first Captain America. Maybe of him in the suit from the part where he's in the White House, and maybe that's all I can think of. I know that obviously the daughter from the very end, but I'm like, she cameoed, and I don't, I would buy it in a heartbeat. Absolutely. But I don't know if that's realistic. I don't know if anything I just said was realistic. Still, I like this wave. I waited, and I was rewarded for waiting, and I feel great. I picked all of them up for about $70 instead of $120. So a lot of action figure collecting now is sort of playing chicken. Is sort of just going, well, hopefully none of this stuff sells out and is impossible to get in the future. But I couldn't take that chance with the Nemesis wave because I wanted to build Nemesis pretty bad. But I got the feeling that I'm going to take a bath when, it gets to be about Christmas and everything is selling for $15 or something. So we'll see. I have no idea. But this is a great set. I recommend it. It's a great set to have for your collection. And let's face it, you're not going to see Red Hulk again. Maybe. I'm not absolutely sure. But for sure, you're going to see Cap and Falcon in the next 2 or 3 Avengers projects. So get them now before they pop up every 5 or 10 minutes and you go, I really should have gotten their first action figure appearance. Of course, this isn't Sam Wilson's first appearance as Captain America, but it is his apprentice's first time in the Falcon suit. So still, there's some firsts that are worth investing in for this wave. So until next time, enjoy your toys.